Hello, everybody. Thank you guys for tuning in, listening to another episode of the Stivers Show. Justin Stivers here. Very excited about my guest, Jonathan Alfonso, with Title Answers. Jonathan, what's going on, brother?
Doing well, man. How are you doing?
Good.
After seeing the show on my feed for a bit, it's nice to finally be on.
No, man, I'm happy to have you on. We were talking, before. Love your background. You got a much better background than me at the moment. So I gotta step up my game. I can't have my guests be looking better than me on the show. So
I highly recommend you do not go down a YouTube wormhole on like how to set up your YouTube background, because then I had like background envy and I was trying to compete, and now all I got is like a disaster behind me.
dude, it's not to go down that actual rabbit hole, but it's crazy. Like when you start looking at doing a podcast, all the different mics and the setup and how extravagant people are. I was like, even if I wanted to do all that stuff, I don't know how to do it. I don't even know how to get all that going.
So this thing was on my, actually it was back here for 5 months before I worked up the courage to like Google or YouTube how to actually use it. Cause I was like, when you saw the picture, I thought it was like smaller. I didn't think I was going to have this big contraption.
Is it a Yeti? Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's a Yeti.
Yeah, that's what I have. Same thing. It was like, that's funny, man. Well, awesome, brother. I'll turn it over to you and kind of, where I always like to start is, who are you and what do you do? And then we'll dive in.
Jonathan Alfonso. I'm an attorney. I run a law firm, Title Answers, with my partner. We've been doing real estate. I've been on my own now since 2013, so going on 8 years. Graduated in 2007, so I kind of grew up during the crisis, right? I came out doing foreclosures. That kind of segued into helping, investors purchase at auction. Then we were doing title, and now we're in this, I would say unexpected COVID housing boom that we're in. So, it's really exciting to me because, for me, the great thing about real estate is since kind of markets ebb and flow, what we do, changes from day to day. We were talking before the call, on how business is for you. Right. And a lot of it revolves around the probate process, but, unless the laws change significantly, you'll do a lot of the same, type of work, with housing markets changing. It changes for us, and we help as clients as much as we can.
Are you? Well, first question is, where'd you get the name Title Answers? Because I think that's a pretty awesome name. Is there a good story behind that, or?
I used to be the law offices of Jonathan Alfonso, and when we stopped working with investors, I realized I was working a lot more with just regular homeowners, just first time buyers, and it was more of a marketing shift. And it's funny because I think I was watching one of your episodes earlier, just preparing for this, and you were talking with someone about the whole marketing aspect of it. But I realized law offices of Jonathan Alfonso sounded so boring. Like how could I go out there and market it more? And it's tough because as an attorney, I think actually the episode I was watching of yours, the person was talking about like attorneys trading on reputation and whatnot. And, the game is so different now. I mean, look at what we're doing, right? You and I are on a podcast in the middle of a pandemic. And, this is how we get the word out about, what we do and our expertise. But I really wanted to, be able to market better. And it became, I don't, there's no crazy stories. I think it was just like answers for title question. Then I kind of just flipped. Honestly, if I remember correctly, answers title was taken, and I went with Title Answers, and then it just kind of became a thing. And then the crazy thing about it, which kind of going into our story is, one of my guiding principles has always been like, let's do it the way we want to do it. Let's do it the fun way. Let's not, it doesn't have to be a drag just because I practice law, right? I mean, think about what I do. I do the least sexiest area of a real estate transaction. Nobody is ever like, oh my God, like, Jonathan Alfonso gave me a title policy. This is like, I feel so secure about, heirs of previous people that owned in my home not coming after me. Like nobody cares. Everybody's like, get out of my way. Give me my keys. I want to take a picture with a champagne bottle and my realtor at the front door of my house. And so for us, when I kind of moved into our new space, I started painting walls orange. I remember I had a consultant at the time that like would help me with my books and whatnot. And she was like, you can't paint walls orange and you can't have like glass everywhere. And I was like, why? And she's like, well, this is a law firm. And I go, that's your idea of a law firm. It's not mine. And, it just kind of became like a marketing thing. And then funny thing is now it's like a running joke amongst my friends. I'll walk into a party and it's like, oh, Title Answers is here. So I feel like we at least did a good job of branding it.
100%, man. I hope you fired that consultant too.
I did. I did. She did get fired.
That's all. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the name, because I had, before I was the probate law firm, I was the law offices of Justin B. Stivers, and Stivers really does not roll off the tongue. And for whatever reason, I came across like my old email, and it was justin.stivers@jbstiverslaw.com. That's a lot of S's and V's and T's when you're like on the phone. I was like, horrible, very horrible.
Yeah, man. And just having I mean, listen, unfortunately we need it. I remember I was talking with an attorney and you know, things are different now. You used to be able to trade on reputation. There's so many attorneys out there, and just being able to, stay top of mind is so important, and having that branding where at least you make it, listen, you need to make it easier on the consumer. Let's put yourself in the consumer shoes. They have so much being thrown at them. You think they're out there going, oh, Justin Stivers. No, but the probate firm, that's a great name.
Yeah.
Now everybody knows who you are, what you do, and makes it so much easier on them.
Well, yeah, I love the name, and I know we kind of wanted to jump into a little bit about the market and everything, but I think this is very important because South Florida certainly, and I know you do a lot, South Florida, Florida in general, but it's a competitive market. There's a lot of there are a lot of other title agents, title attorneys. Certainly a ton of just people in the real estate space in general. So finding your own, I guess, well, that's my question. Have you found kind of like a niche or a way to make yourself stand out in that space?
Um, I think there's no secret to what we do. Like what I always tell people is what there's once you actually get into my day-to-day operations, it's really just communication, right? Answering the phone, being accessible. Most people have my cell phone, most clients, most realtors. So there's no real secret because once you do get into the day-to-day, you trade on reputation. Going back to how crazy the market was, I had somebody call me this morning about a contract that fell through. Buyer and seller are about to go at it if they see each other at the property. And then I see who the attorney was on the other side because I just got brought in. I know the guy. He has a reputable practice. I respect him. I literally sent him a text message at 7:30 in the morning that said, like, he kind of lives by me. Actually, he lives by in our area that we were talking about earlier. And I was like, hey, I think our clients are going to scrap. Can we fix this? And he writes, LOL, call me. And, we resolved the issue, but trading on reputation, and I think once you get into it in the real estate market, as crazy as it is, as many realtors as there are, the people that move every day know who those people are. And you can trade on reputation at that point. The question is, I trade in an industry similar to yours, right? Where the average person is going to buy or sell a home every 13 years. So I have to have as many tentacles as possible out there to have those people hear of me, to use our firm if they get into a transaction.
And what are you seeing right now in terms of the market? I know, when this whole COVID thing started, I think everyone was thinking like, oh, there's going to be another downturn. People are going to lose their jobs, foreclosures. We haven't really seen that yet. I mean, it's, we follow a lot of realtors. I mean, it seems like people are just crushing it out there in terms of, real estate sales. Has that kind of been your experience?
Oh my God. We had an amazing 2020. I remember in April, as I was trying to find toilet paper, thinking, what happens now? And no, yeah, it's absolute craziness. And now you're able in retrospect to kind of look at the whole thing, but it's become a perfect storm. And really, I think, what threw gas on the whole situation, right? Because you already had an inventory issue. What a lot of people don't realize, especially in South Florida, is we have a lot of factors going in our favor, as far as housing prices appreciating, right? Especially on the single family home side. We ran out of land to build. We went up to the Everglades, right? We went up to the urban boundary line. We've matured as a city. We went from retirement community in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, whatever, let's gloss over the cocaine heyday, in the 80s and 90s. Then we kind of matured into this like Latin American hub, in the 2000s. And now we have other industries, and now throw in, kind of the globalization of the world, and technology, and people able to, you have all these New Yorkers, Californians trying to leave their cities and states and their income taxes, and you have like a perfect storm. I was actually on the phone with a client of mine that's selling his home in Pinecrest, and he's had it listed last year at 1.1. Then he decided not to sell. He's back on the market at 1.5. He's waiting to accept the offer until his offer on his purchase gets accepted. And he's like, all I got is guys from New York and California coming to see my house. So, we had kind of that perfect storm brewing, and then the government threw gas on the fire when they lowered the interest rate. So, what a lot of people are not factoring into this equation is when interest rates went from, we're looking at, whatever, let's average it out. On average, we would, and I see all the closing disclosures, 4% interest rates. You're seeing people now purchasing at 2.75. That's a 25% reduction in what you're paying as far as interest expense over the life of the loan. So a lot of people think, oh, price of the home, oh, it's $500,000. But really the price of the home is the $500K that you pay, and then add on to that whatever the interest expense is over 30 years. And a lot of people don't really add those two because everybody wants to win that HGTV war, right? I got my house for 487 and my neighbor paid 490. I beat them, and people get caught up in that. But the interest rates really threw gas on the fire. And, that's what we're seeing.
And do you see that changing? What's your sense? I know you're, yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
If you want me to go Vegas style and bet, I think we got runway for like another 2 years. There's just too much demand for inventory. I have buyers calling me with mental breakdowns. I had a realtor in here yesterday. I'm helping her finalize her contract. She's like, I've put 45 offers as a realtor myself. She's like, and I can't get anything. And like that, I have stories for days. I've gone myself to see some of my realtors open houses, and it's crazy. I haven't seen lines that long since I used to go to Story on the beach when I was like single in like '08. It's absurd.
So from the realtor's perspective, because you obviously work with a lot of realtors. It's always been a profession where when times are good, people jump in and then, maybe do it as a side hustle. Do you have advice for realtors right now? Because I think, this won't last forever, right? So there's got to be, some just, professional, hey, you're not going to have this same boom that we're always going to have. So be prepared. But also for realtors, maybe getting into this now, is it difficult for them to find those listings, and maybe even harder to find buyers than before, where I know most realtors never really wanted buyers before, but now it's like almost seems like easy for them.
Yeah. It's there's so much that can go into that, right? And it depends on the person and their situation. Look, in my opinion, and I've done a lot of reading and research into the industry, and I'm always like, I got my finger on the pulse. I literally right here, there's this thing called Swaimpo, which does like 2021 trends. This is like a report that you pay a couple $100 for. They're always doing like mass industry wide stuff. Look, the part-time realtor is always going to be around because that's easy, right? The person that has a steady stream of income and decides to get their license and do a family members deal, they're always going to be around. But I do think the person getting in, one piece of advice that I would say that I've just seen in the industry over the last couple of years is, you need to join a team, or you need to join an infrastructure. You need to have support because things move so fast right now in this industry that, number one, you need to have people around you that can help you, because it could be like, listen, if buyers see a home on Zillow and they want to see it, they don't want to get, a Calendly invite and then let's figure it out. And, we'll plan for next week. No, you need somebody that can be there in an hour. Chances are it might not be you. So you got to have 5-6 people on their team, or you have, a group Slack infrastructure, or you guys have a WhatsApp, where you can send somebody else to the property. And then people that can help you quickly put together a contract, make offers, negotiate, resolve situations. If you're trying to be a one-man show and learn the game, things are moving so fast that, this market's going to leave you behind.
Yeah.
That's just the reality.
Yeah. So kind of, going back so that's how a realtor, I think, can, try to differentiate themselves. And like you were saying in the beginning, that uh, issuing title policies is not extremely sexy, nor is what I do. Is funny. So over the weekend, me and my wife went up to the coast and stayed for a couple of days. And I took like 3 or 4 phone calls, and they were all like, "Hey, can you help me? So my mom just passed away, my dad just passed away, or whatever it was." And I looked at her, I was like, "I really do talk about death all day long, all day long." It's like, so it's, people don't really want to, unless I do something like this where I'm interviewing someone interesting, funny, like you or something. Me just talking about death all day is not super attractive. It's not a very attractive a topic. But I'm curious, how do you the buyer or the seller who is, purchasing it. I know a lot of times it's the realtor who's going to pick the title company, I think. So how do you even find a way to differentiate yourself amongst those realtors or amongst those buyers and lenders? Because I get that it's the customer service, but they might not know the customer service piece until you get in there, right?
I think a lot of it is our marketing. So I've been very heavy on Instagram this year. Actually, one of my goals is to be more like Justin and start YouTube and start putting the content out there because it lives more. But a lot of it has been really our Instagram marketing. I will say has been a huge thing for me as far as just building relationships with people where I show them like, hey, this is what I do. Because listen, I feel your pain. That's for you to be on vacation and you got to deal with a family member's death. That's um of your client. That's a difficult thing, right? And for me, it's the same thing, which is probably why I'm so attracted to all this marketing stuff. Like, this is fun. This is sexy. We get to
Right.
talk about it. We get to share our ideas. After this, I got to jump on 4 calls where people are at each other's throats. And, one joke that I have with another attorney that I work with all the time, it's like people are like, "Oh, you're a real estate attorney." I'm like, "No, we're like customer service representatives. How can I help you today?" And we're coming in and resolving problems. But I would say a lot of it has been our marketing where and you've done a good job of this as well, where we show people who we really are. I mean, listen, that photo, I mean, look how I'm dressed. I'm usually not in a suit. Usually I'm like in a t-shirt and like Lululemon pants,
You
like
dressed
that's
up,
like
you
my,
dressed up for us. You shouldn't
yeah,
have.
yeah. I put on a sweater just in case. Actually, I was going to walk out in a hoodie and then I was like, you know what? I'll do a sweater without a hoodie. But, just showing people who you really are and what you can do. And that knowledge comes across because guess what? When you're posting things on social media and stories every day and we're talking how we're talking, people are seeing who we really are, not some, pre-printed or, 30-second spot where we're saying, quiero ser tu abogado and, I know real estate and that's all great. But this people get to see our knowledge and what we do. And for me, it's been amazing. I will say Instagram and Instagram stories, like I had like a moment like probably like 2-3 years ago where I remember I told my wife like it's kind of crazy. Like we went up to like we have several thousand followers now on social media, and I would walk into like mortgage brokers' offices or real estate offices, and people would be like, "The title answers guy, you have orange walls," and I'd be like, "What's up?" Like, I mean, listen, I'm not Kim K. I don't need an entourage, but for a realtor that I don't know to recognize who I am based off my marketing, like makes me think like, wow, we're doing something right. And I see it because I will tell you, my biggest competition is while my biggest referral source is realtors, my biggest competition is almost brokers because they all have in-house title. So agents will put their in-house title on the contract. And my buyers will be like, no, 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 I know this guy, Jonathan, he's going to handle it for me. And they'll be like, no, 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 but we have in-house. They'll be like, no, no. Have you seen this guy on Instagram? And then they're like, what? No, and that's been a huge boost for us where people have been able to see who I really am and that, we can add value to their transaction.
Yeah, I think, definitely. I mean, we're both attorneys, right? We're just different areas of law, obviously. But I think that's something that attorneys struggle with because it's just not comfortable to them, or they think it's icky or whatever to be out there. But if you're not known, chances are you're not going to get business. I think you guys are doing a fantastic job with all the marketing that you all are doing.
Yeah, man. I mean, I will tell you for me, it was so up until like 2015, 2016. we used to represent like a lot of institutional big Wall Street guys. I mean, and listen, those guys are not going on Instagram and being like, huh, let me find my real estate guy in South Florida. That is strictly word of mouth. And, you know, I will say, as much as now I'm getting to enjoy some of the fruits of these marketing efforts, which you and I both know have to be full throttle all the time. Otherwise it doesn't continue to show, benefits. But I remember I went through like about a 12 to 18 month period where I was like, hey, I know a lot about real estate, and nobody would send me files. And I was like, what is this? But, I was here in my office, meeting with people here and there. And then I realized, I remember I told my wife one day, there was a file of a friend of ours that closed and they didn't use me. And my wife was like, oh, I can't believe, your friend didn't use you. And I said, that's my fault. That's, I'm very big that anything that happens in my world is my fault. And I was like, that's my fault. I didn't let enough people know what I know. And I didn't let enough people know what I do. And after that, I kind of made a personal commitment to myself. Like, everybody is going to know that I work at Title Answers and I help people with real estate closings. And, that's kind of the mission every day.
Because I mean, you sound like me, a lot of goal setting and obviously drive and everything like that. What's kind of if you have big picture or even 2021, what's kind of goal overall for Title Answers?
I mean, listen, there's some metrics, right, that we have in place that are very ambitious, just like, we were alluding to before this conversation. But, one thing that I have really shifted in my goal setting process in the last 2 years has been I've become very much focused on processes, not numbers, So, we have certain metrics now for at least January and February tend to be a little bit slower. So we have a lot of metrics for these 60 days as far as like processes. There's things, we shifted last year to a new software, a lot of processes that we want to put in place, spending 45 minutes each day working on that. So and then I have, certain marketing efforts. And then another one being, I want to launch the YouTube channel because I do want to get my message to as many people as possible. And like on Instagram, I feel like we've kind of tapped out, and this is a whole other marketing conversation, but that Facebook, Instagram platform tends to reward what's new and doesn't incentivize you, whereas YouTube allows you to keep it forever. I know you've done a good job of putting these videos on there, but yeah, we have a lot of goals on that front, but really it's on the process side because listen, you can have all the goals in the world. If you're not consistently every day working on some aspect of that, it's really just a dream.
Yeah. Well, I know we're coming up on our time, and we had a couple different. I think we were going to talk about like the market, but I think we both kind of fall into marketing because that's that's fun. But do you have anything you want to leave anyone watching or listening in terms of either if they're a realtor or attorney in terms of marketing or looking to buy, sell with the market? Should I wait? Should I go? Anything you want to leave with the people?
I mean, listen, right now, I think that the number one conversation that I'm having with people is like, I think since I'm in it, people from the outside are like, is the market really crazy? And to answer that question, yes, it is extremely competitive. And, the one thing I will tell them is, listen, it doesn't have to be Title Answers. Just make sure you're aligning yourselves with professionals, whether you're a realtor, whether you're a mortgage lender, whether you're the buyer, you're the seller. You need to have a group of people around you that are doing this every day that can truly help you. I mean, I understand this is Miami and, there's a lot of characters and situations, but, you need to have a team that can help you. And the same thing as your industry, right? When somebody passes away, that death certificate gets recorded. They're getting a bunch of notifications of people that are trying to do all sorts of stuff. I mean, they need somebody like you that can effectively walk them through the process. Not, here's my cousin Billy, he just got his law license and he's going to try to figure out the estate forms, as he goes along. People don't realize that in the legal arena, when you make a mistake, you're talking about tens of thousands of dollars. So, just align yourself with the right people that are doing this every day, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, I think that's awesome advice. I think we both see that all the time. If you try to do anything, but specifically in the law, you try to do it on the cheap, it's going to end up costing you a lot more money in the long run. So,
oh my God, absolutely.
Well, if people want to get in contact with you, find you, hire you, use you, all that sort of stuff, what's the best way? And we'll put it in the show notes and everything.
Title Answers. We're Title Answers on Instagram. We're Title Answers on Facebook. We're TitleAnswers.com. We have all our information there, and you can find us on any one of those platforms. And aside from my staff, I actively monitor it. So I do client intakes on Instagram, Facebook, text message, WhatsApp. So on any of those platforms, you can find us. And but yeah, thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks, Jonathan. Always a pleasure, man. Take care.
Hey, it was a pleasure, buddy. Thank you.
Later. Bye.